From the News Channel 5 network, this is Sportsline.
Hey there, Sportsline on your television. Steve Lehman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Wednesday night on News Channel 5. Plus, just like in the regular everyday world in Nashville this week, it was a big day again in sports in Nashville. Mike Fisher, the former Predators captain, announcing he is coming out of retirement and headed back on the ice. He's set to rejoin the Predators sometime in the month of February. He has to do it before February 26th. That's when rosters need to be set as you start making your push towards the playoffs. But that gives him about a month from today to get back and really work himself out, get into tip-top shape, and be ready to go for the stretch run for this season. That means a 18-year veteran, a guy who is the 5th leading scorer in franchise history with 109 goals in his time with the Predators, is set to come back and join this team, and that is an absolutely massive lift for this team. People wondered, what would David Poile do at the trade deadline? Would he have enough ammo? Would he have the desire to go out and make a trade for this team? Well, in essence, he gets a huge acquisition today, and he doesn't have to give up anything for it. It's kind of a stunning development because so many people thought that when Fisher retired that he was going to stick to his guns. Heck, he thought that he was going to stick to his guns. He was actually enjoying retirement, but the Predators always left the door open for him. He's been around the team, helping out with things like chapel, and just hanging out with the guys here and there because he still lives in Nashville, obviously, with Carrie. And each time he went, they kind of put a bug in his ear about the possibility that he might want to return and come back and be a part of this team. And he said about Christmas time, he started to feel like he missed it. And then they started to talk a little bit more, and then finally had a lunch with Roman Josi not all that long ago. And that's when it really started to hit home, I guess, that he had this opportunity. It was truly in front of him if he wanted to come back and play for this team this year, make another run at a Stanley Cup. And he started to work out a bit last week, and then over the weekend he told the team, I'm ready. I can feel it. Let's do this. And today they announced that Mike Fisher will indeed come back and play for an 18th season in the National Hockey League with the Nashville Predators. So that is massive news today. We will hear some of that press conference coming up on the program here tonight. The Preds are funny in this regard. They did not play particularly well last night against the rival Blackhawks, a team that everybody hates, a huge rival for them. They lose 2-1. In that game. It's a Central Division rival. It's the first game out of the All-Star break. They come out a little bit flat off the start and they lose. And that has people frustrated, and you're kind of disappointed, and you wake up this morning and you're like, gosh, really wish they didn't get rid of that game. I wish they played better than that. And then a couple hours later you hear this news that Mike Fisher's coming back, and it seemed like all of Preds fandom just went up in arms and said, hooray. Who cares about what happened last night? Fisher is coming back. And that's the thing about the Preds right now, is it just seems like everything they're doing for their fans, in and around the arena, their play on the ice, everything seems to be working. Everything seems to be turning as gold as the uniforms at this point. And here's just another example. They lose last night. It's a tough loss. It's a disappointing loss. You wake up this morning and you find out maybe the most popular player in the history of the franchise is coming out of retirement to help them try to go win a Stanley Cup. It's hard to be upset if you're a Predators fan these days. And here's just another example of that. So many other things going on as well. Titans introducing a bunch of coaches today. Craig Ackerman elevated to special teams coach. He had been the special teams assistant over the last couple of years under Mike Mularkey. Now he becomes essentially the coordinator of that side of the ball. Arthur Smith retained as the tight ends coach, and then they announced several other guys. Pat O'Hara will be the quarterbacks coach officially. Kerry Coombs, the secondary coach. Shane Bowen, outside linebackers. Tyrone McKenzie, inside linebackers. And then Rob Moore, the wide receivers coach for Mike Vrabel. So this coaching staff is starting to come together a little bit more. We obviously talked about yesterday Matt LaFleur coming from the Rams to be the offensive coordinator and call plays. Dean Pease coming out of retirement himself to be the defensive coordinator, a veteran presence who's had really good defenses over the course of his career, comes back to lead this Titans defense for Mike Vrabel. So that staff is starting to take some shape. College basketball news, Vanderbilt dropped an absolute heartbreaker last night at Kentucky. A game they should have had won, would have been just their third win ever at Rupp Arena. They led by 14 in the second half. They had a 5-point lead in the final minute. But Joe Toye with an inexplicable foul with 2 seconds to go, 75 feet away from the basket. When really all you probably get off is a heave at that point if you're Kentucky. Leads to 2 free throws. The Wildcats make them both. They go into overtime, and ultimately Quade Green gets a driving layup with about 5 seconds left to win the game for Kentucky. Just a brutal, brutal loss for Vanderbilt, who would have been 9-13 on the year. And there's still a long way to go after that, but that would have been 3 wins in 4 games, a win over a ranked team on the road, which gives you a big RPI boost. That's the type of win that can get you going. Remember last year, Vanderbilt was like 11-13 going into the month of February, and then they really got hot. And they got themselves into a position where they could play their way into the tournament late. That was obviously the goal. You hoped a win like last night could have got them in that direction. Instead, the loss probably prevents them from getting into the tournament at any point in time here. Tennessee tonight, though, continues their streak. They win for the 4th straight time. They beat up Will Wade and LSU over on Rocky Top. Rick Barnes certainly seems to have that team headed in the right direction, so good news for them. Lots of things out there, some other topics going back to the NFL and the Super Bowl. We've talked some about the Super Bowl matchup, obviously, over the last 10 days or so, but today was the State of the League address by Commissioner Roger Goodell. He touched on a handful of topics there, most notably probably the fact that the league is going to work on the rule book in the offseason. Specifically, they're going to look at what is and what is not a catch. That's something that we've debated on this program. A lot of people have debated in their living room on Sunday afternoons. What is a catch in the National Football League right now? The NFL, I think, believes now that the rule is too concrete, and that things that to your eyes appear to be a catch are now being overturned because of the rules. And so they're going to look at it to try to make that a more fitting rule to what they believe catches are. And one thing Roger Goodell I've heard say this week a couple of times, and I agree with him, people are seeing these amazing athletic plays, and they want them to be catches. They want to see catches. They don't want to see Des Bryant make a whale of a play or Jesse James make a go-ahead touchdown for the Steelers at the goal line and then have an official come back out and say, well, actually, upon review and the rules, that actually isn't a catch. That's what they don't want to see happen. And so I think the NFL understands that, and their goal is to try to fix that with the competition committee and the rule book this offseason. That was one key point from Roger Goodell. Another thing he said is the league continues to want to go abroad and expand their game to a global audience. We already knew there will be 3 UK games next year. The Titans are one of them. They will face the Chargers either October 21st or October 28th in London. But the league announced today that there will be a 4th foreign game next year. Once again, they're going back to Mexico City, as it'll be the Chiefs and the Rams down there for a game next season. The league continues to want to make that global push. A lot of people have wanted to be involved. The Titans were one of the last teams to have the opportunity to go to London. It seems like a lot of teams want that opportunity. So next year, the Titans, one of those teams that will get that opportunity. Sort of the last big thing he discussed as well was the political climate around the league. And we've had so many discussions on this program, and certainly the league has felt it, about the protest by players during the national anthem. And Roger Goodell said what he wants to focus on is the league's effort from owners and players to come together to try to come up with ways that they have benefited the community. And they've tried to put in initiatives to raise awareness for this, to put things into action, and try to really cause change in their communities. And he says what he wants to focus on is the start to that and the progress they've already made, and then continue that work to try to make it even better and try to make something positive come out of that. He wanted no part of the discussion of what it meant to the league. But realistically, ratings have been down this year. Ratings have been down significantly this year. And I think it is a problem that the NFL is going to have to look at for sure, of how they allow this to go on in the future, whether they allow players to be on the field during the national anthem or they want them off the field altogether. So it kind of eliminates the problem, so to speak. Roger Goodell wasn't going to tackle that topic today, but he was asked it from several different directions. And so it's clear other people are thinking about it for the league, based off of the ratings, based off of the public backlash, based off the fact the President of the United States has talked about it and how bad it is for the National Football League. So those are big questions heading into the offseason for Roger Goodell and the National Football League. Our phone lines are open tonight, 737-7767 the number. We want to hear from you. Any topic you want to get to, we will be glad to hear from you tonight. We will also hear more from our Pro Bowl players from the Titans. We will also get into this Mike Fisher news, the press conference that announced he is officially coming back to play for the Nashville Predators. Much more on the program tonight as well. Again, phone lines open, 737-7767 if you would like to chime in. And we begin tonight with Brian. Brian, hello. Hey, Brian, are you there? Hello, Brian. All right. Brian, if you're out there, call back. Anybody else, call in as well. First call tonight, not a roaring success, but I'm sure we can do better. And we have plenty of sound to get to tonight as well. We'll take our first break here. We'll come back. We'll get to more of your calls, and we will hear from Mike Fisher, the newest old Predator, coming back out of retirement, back on the ice to join the team shortly. Stay tuned. You're watching Sportsline on News Channel 5+.